I stood quietly at the back of the lavish ballroom, tugging at the sleeves of the suit that didn't quite fit right. It was my son's wedding, a moment I had imagined for over 20 years, ever since his mother left, and I became both his father and mother. I juggled 2 jobs just to make ends meet, fixing plumbing by day, delivering groceries by night. There were winters when the heater stayed off, but I never let him sleep on an empty stomach. I never missed a single parent-teacher conference, no matter how tired or broke I was. And now, surrounded by hundreds of guests beneath glittering chandeliers, with champagne glasses clinking and a towering cake that likely cost more than I earned a month, I felt a rare sense of pride, until I saw the place card. At the family table, right under the shimmering Father the Groom sign, my name was printed, followed by something scribbled beneath it in fancy gold ink, low-educated fake dad. I blinked, thinking it must be some sick joke. But then I heard it, the soft snickers coming from the bride's side. Her father, a retired university dean, chuckled behind his hand with a look of smug satisfaction. Her mother failed to stifle a laugh. 2 cousins leaned toward each other, whispered something, and laughed openly in my direction. A burning sensation crept up my neck. I searched for Jason in the crowd. He stood near the dance floor, smiling for photos with his new in-laws. He hadn't seen it. He couldn't have. Without a word, I turned the card face down and tried to sit quietly, but the snickering didn't stop. Then a voice cut through the chatter. "What did you expect? He's a plumber. Bet he didn't even finish high school." My stomach twisted painfully. I rose to my feet, heart pounding, ready to walk out of this humiliating scene. But just as I turned, a firm hand caught mine. Jason stood there, his expression calm, but his eyes fierce. "Dad," he said evenly, "let's go home." I hesitated, confused. "Jason, this is your wedding." I said, "Let's go home." The music stopped mid-beat. Even the DJ froze. Heads turned to watch. Jason locked eyes with his bride, then glanced at her family and spoke clearly enough for everyone to hear. "You've just made the biggest mistake of your lives." No yelling. No drama. He simply walked out with me into the cold night. And the next day, everything changed. The drive home was quiet, except for the distant hum of city traffic. Jason kept his eyes on the road, jaw clenched tight. He didn't speak a word until we pulled up outside the small apartment. The same place I raised him in, the one I still called home, even though he could afford better 100 times over. As I reached for the key, his voice finally broke the silence. "Dad," I saw it. I froze. The nameplate. I noticed it before you did. I was watching from the side, waiting to see how you'd react. I turned to him, confused. "Then why didn't you stop them? Why didn't you say anything sooner?" His eyes locked on mine, filled with a pain I hadn't seen in years. "Because I needed to know if they'd really do it. If they'd really try to humiliate you, the man who raised me, on my wedding day." He reached into his jacket, pulled out his phone, tapped a few times, and handed it to me. On the screen played a video, recorded secretly. The bride's father laughing as he handed the gold pen to a cousin, her mother smirking and calling me trailer trash walking among us. And worst of all, Jason's bride nodding along. "My real father is the man I'm marrying," she joked. "That plumber is just a formality." My chest tightened painfully. But Jason remained calm, almost too calm. "Dad, I never told you this before, but I didn't sign the prenup." I stared at him, stunned. "You didn't?" He shook his head. "They begged me to. Her father even promised to invest in my startup if I agreed. But by then, I'd already built something, quietly with a friend, a cybersecurity company. That's why I kept living simply. I didn't want anyone noticing." He paused before continuing. "Last year, we sold it. The deal was clean. I made more money than I ever thought possible. Enough to buy their entire company and ruin it if I wanted." I sank into the nearest chair, speechless. Jason's voice dropped lower, more serious. "They thought they were getting some idiot they could control. They had no idea I had my own game in play." He flipped open his laptop and started typing furiously. "Tomorrow, they'll learn exactly who they tried to mock. And when I'm done, they'll regret the day they laughed at the man who raised me." By morning, Jason was already dressed in a sharp navy suit when I stumbled into the kitchen. The smell of freshly brewed coffee hung in the air, untouched. "Dad, today's the day they find out who you really are to me. You're not a fake dad. You're the man who made me who I am." He handed me a folder thick with documents. Inside were company records, financial reports, and ownership agreements. It turned out the bride's family business, a luxury hotel and restaurant chain called Westbourne Hospitality Group, was quietly bleeding money. And Jason had spent the last year buying up their silent partner shares, using shell companies and backdoor deals. Quietly, ruthlessly. I looked up at him in disbelief. "You already have a stake in their company?" Jason gave a sly smile. "Try nearly half, 48%. And by 9 this morning, I'll officially hold controlling interest." At precisely 9:15 a.m., we entered the sleek glass headquarters of Westbourne Hospitality. Jason walked in with me at his side. Staff members paused mid-conversation, their eyes widening, phones halfway to their ears. Many were the same faces from the wedding, now staring at us in stunned silence. The boardroom was crowded. Gregory Westbourne sat confidently at the head of the long table, the same smug expression plastered on his face, utterly unaware of what was about to unfold. He barked as Jason pulled out a chair. "What's the meaning of this?" Jason remained calm. He placed a hefty folder on the table and faced the board members. "As of this morning, I own 51% of Westbourne Hospitality Group. Here are the documents to prove it. Everything's legal. Feel free to have your attorneys verify." For a moment, silence hung thick in the air, followed by uneasy murmurs. Gregory snatched the documents with trembling hands. His eyes scanned the pages until they went wide with shock. "You little parasite," he hissed. Jason didn't blink. "No, Gregory. I'm the result of the man you all ridiculed. The plumber you scoffed at. The so-called fake dad who worked 14-hour shifts so I could get an education. The man who taught me loyalty, grit, and patience." The entire room fell silent. Then Jason addressed the board. "Let me make this clear. I'm not shutting the company down, at least not yet, but effective immediately, Gregory, your wife, your daughter, and every single member of your family are terminated. Severance packages will arrive in the mail." Gasps echoed around the room. Gregory shot up, his face flushed, veins throbbing in his neck. "You can't do this. This is my company." Jason's voice stayed cool, not rising a single decibel. It was, "Now it belongs to the man you humiliated through me." He turned, gave me a slight nod, and together we walked out, leaving the Westbourne family frozen in disbelief, their empire reduced to ashes. That evening, Jason and I sat out on the balcony, the sunset painting the sky in shades of orange and violet. "You didn't have to do all that for me," I said quietly. He gave me a soft smile. "I didn't do it for you, Dad. I did it because of you. Everything I am, everything I built, it's all because you believed in me when no one else did." My eyes welled up before I could stop them. "Happy belated birthday," he added. "Next year, we'll celebrate the right way." 2 weeks passed. The story of Westbourne Hospitality's hostile takeover swept through the business world, and local news like wildfire. Headlines ranged from groom shocks elite in-laws to from plumber son to power broker. Jason, once the butt of their jokes, was now receiving invitations to speak at investor summits and leadership panels. As for Emily, the once picture-perfect bride, she vanished from social media. Her carefully crafted feed of champagne brunches and vacation photos went dark. Whispers spread that she and her parents were facing lawsuits for financial misconduct and shady dealings uncovered within the company. Then, on a rainy evening, a soft knock sounded at Jason's door. Emily stood there, drenched, makeup running, clutching a soaked designer purse. "Jason," her voice cracked, "I made a mistake. I was pressured. My parents always said you weren't good enough, that your father was beneath us. But now I realize." Jason cut her off, voice steady and composed. "You realize now that the man you belittled owns the building you're standing in front of." She glanced over his shoulder and saw me sitting on the couch inside. "Mr. Carter, I'm sorry. I was stupid." I raised my hand. "Don't. You're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry because it didn't end the way you hoped." She froze. Jason reached into his pocket and pulled out a small envelope. "Your parents signed this when they were desperate to offload their remaining shares. There's a clause in here barring any member of your family from ever owning or working in any Westbourne-related business again." He handed it to her. "That includes you." Tears welled in her eyes. "Jason, please, can we just talk?" He gave her one last look. "You had your chance to talk. You chose mockery over love. You picked public humiliation over respect. Now, I choose silence over reconciliation." And he gently closed the door, not with anger, but with finality. 1 year later, Jason launched a scholarship fund for students from working-class families. He named it after me, the Carter Foundation. At the launch ceremony, when the mayor shook his hand and asked what had inspired him, Jason pointed at me sitting in the front row. That man, the one they laughed at for fixing toilets. The one who taught me that your true value isn't in your bank account or your diploma. It's in your integrity, your strength, and your heart. The crowd erupted in applause. And for the first time in my life, I felt like the wealthiest man in the world. Was this justice served? What would you have done if this story hit home? Don't forget to hit like, share it with someone who needs this message, and subscribe to Lauren's Story for more real-life tales of betrayal and poetic justice. Because here, every deception gets exposed, and every betrayal meets its reckoning. Stay sharp, stay strong, stay tuned,